Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I am so happy that you're joining me today. My name is Ashley Bernardi. I am author of the book Authentic Power Give Yourself Permission to Feel. I'm also a certified life designer and life coach, and we are going to be spending the next hour together focusing on you. So, I just want to give you a couple moments as people are logging in to get settled in. Go ahead if you can and grab a journal if you have a journal. I carry journals everywhere. I have one in like every room of my house. If you don't have a journal, that is okay. Grab a piece of paper. Like you can even write on like the back of old scrap paper, but I definitely would advise we will be doing some journaling and writing today. So I'm just going to give everyone who's joining the next minute or two to just let's collect ourselves. Let's get a pen, a pencil, a journal, a piece of paper. I always like to have water with me. And then I also want you to settle in and get comfortable. Hopefully, you can be seated because I'm going to be starting with a breath work and leading you through a guided meditation for us to get settled in. So I'm just going to give everyone about one more minute or so to go ahead, grab that journal, grab that pen or pencil, get settled in, get cozy. It's Friday. Maybe this is the way that you're going to be starting your weekend and ending your work week. For me, I've got a little bit of work to do after this session today, but I promise you, and I'm hopeful that this is going to be a wonderful way to start your weekend by just focusing on you, learning how to give yourself permission to feel, and just do a little bit of self discovery through journaling, which is something that I love so much. Another housekeeping item is as you have questions, and if you do have any questions, you can just drop them right in the chat here. I'm going to be answering them in real time, and anything's on the table. I'd love to hear from you. Like I don't have all the answers to everything. I'm just going to talk about what I've learned through my own healing journey, and I'll teach and I'll talk you through that as well. But would love to hear from you. Would love to hear what resonates. Would love to hear if you have questions, and then I will be asking participants as we go through journaling exercises. If you want to share anything, please do. All right, so by now, hopefully you have a pen and pencil. And again, I just want to thank everyone for being here. I am just so excited to have this sacred space for us together. I just want you to know this is a safe space. So anything that you share here is a safe share. I also want to just tell everyone my work, I'm a life designer, which means I'm a life coach. What it means by being a life coach is that I'm not a consultant, I'm not a counselor. This is deep work that we're going to be doing today with you as the expert. I'm your guide. I love being the guide. So it's all about tapping into your authentic power using my gentle, loving guidance. It's also not a time to give other people advice or tell someone what to do. I'm not going to ever try to step in and fix anyone. What I do encourage instead is heartfelt reflection, perhaps asking yourself powerful questions, sharing appreciations for each other, and celebrating each other's transformations, changes, and wins. So feel free to ask questions throughout. And I just want to set just a quick intention for today is that we are creating a safe and loving space for you to show up as your truest, fullest, youest self. There's no judgments. There's no right or wrong answers, especially when it comes to journaling. Um, I'm going to be allowing this next hour for reflection, for breath work, meditation, chat through conversation, and journaling. And my hope is that you're going to be leaving with clarity, peace, and trust in your own authentic power and wisdom, and learn some healthy ways to give yourself permission to feel. So, first, before we get started with anything, I'm just going to invite everyone to we're going to do a quick heart check-in. And I absolutely love doing heart check-ins. I actually do a lot throughout the day. It's going to take just a couple minutes, and it's going to be an opportunity for you to slow down. So it's going to help teach our bodies wisdom and how we can use our own bodies to gauge how we feel. So I'm going to go ahead and invite you to put your hand on your heart and close your eyes. Go ahead and inhale for 2 counts and exhale for 2 counts. And keep repeating that. Inhale for 2 counts. Exhale for 2 counts. And once you get in the flow of your breath, I invite you to choose a word that fills you with peace and love. Allow yourself to feel what it would feel like if your whole body were filled with this word. Breathe the word in and out through your nose. And as you exhale, let go of any negative thoughts, stress, worry, or concern. When you feel ready, imagine a color you'd like to associate with this word. Breathe in this color and imagine your body filling with beautiful tones of this color. And just trust whatever you're picturing. Sometimes I picture glitter and sparkles, and that is all good. Just trust it. Allow yourself to feel supported by the ground, by the universe. Allow the feeling of appreciation to just take over your being. Allow yourself to enjoy the moment of deep connection with yourself. And as we end this meditation, we'll seal it with 3 deep breaths on your own. And when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. Welcome back, everyone. I would love to hear from you. So feel free to drop in the chat. How did it feel to take that pause? I'd love to just know if anything came up for you. I call these heart flares. And it's just anything that you like to share that's on your mind, anything that came up. Melissa said relief. Anthony said allows one to stay centered. I love that. Warmth. Caroline said warmth. It's beautiful. Feel free to keep sharing. I can totally resonate with relief, Melissa. Thank you for sharing that heart flare. Nikki said joy and warmth. I love this. It's so beautiful. And I love to start with these just 2-minute quick heart check-ins. Yes, enjoying being quiet, because oftentimes in our busy lives, we forget that we have moments and opportunity anytime to just sit and breathe. I used to never do that. And I take so many breathing breaks throughout the day now. And I just use this as an example to show how much clarity and peace and warmth and joy and release that we can find in our inner power and in our authentic selves in just 2 short minutes. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate you sharing, and look forward to hearing a little bit more. So as I said, today, we're going to be focused all about the healing power of tapping into your wisdom, which is what I call authentic power. Before I do that, I just want to share a little bit about me and my life story, so you have an idea of who is this girl talking to me and why. So I'm just going to do a quick screen share and give an introduction about who I am. first I like to start with the Instagram worthy version. And this is, the outwardly picture that tends to be painted, and I'm sure we can all relate to. Um, by day, I'm a founder of a bustling media relations firm, Nardi Media, that I absolutely love. I treat it as my fourth child, and it brings me so much joy. I'm a book publicist, a mom to three beautiful girls, a wife, certified life designer, which means life coach. In my past career, I was a former network TV producer. I traveled the world covering breaking news stories for CBS News, for Bloomberg, for the Washington Post. I did that for about a decade. And until I started having babies and had a health crisis. Also, writer and author. I have my book, Authentic Power, which I'll talk a little bit about today, and I'm a podcaster. So that's the Instagram worthy, but like, let's be real. We're going to get vulnerable today. So I'm going to give you my vulnerable version as well. I also know what it feels like to be bedridden, sick, and nearly dying from a chronic illness, which I'll get to in a second. I have been totally and utterly consumed with anxiety and depression from chronic illness, unhealed childhood trauma, and severe PTSD and postpartum depression and anxiety. I know what it feels like to be completely grief-stricken from the loss of someone that's so dear to me. I know what it feels like to be hopeless, to be on your knees, begging to know why you're feeling pain, to have emotional turmoil and trauma just consuming your body. And I don't know if any of you can relate to this. I also know what it feels like to be told over and over and over and over again throughout my life that I'm way too sensitive and therefore burying my real feelings deep down, and just also feeling like I could never fit in. So I'm sure some of you can resonate with these feelings. What I used to do was bury them all. And I'm going to start with where it started. So I grew up in a military family. My father was an Army colonel. We had a beautiful upbringing. I was born in Schweinfurt, Germany. We lived around the country, ended up in the DC region when he was stationed at the Pentagon, and just had this beautiful, happy life with him. And this is another picture before my world turned upside down. And it was when I was 11 years old. My dad was not feeling well that night. And I will just paint the picture that like he was everything to me. And just was such a loving father, which I'm forever grateful for. I was tucking him into bed because he wasn't feeling well. And the last words that he said to me were, "I love you, honey." And I said, "I love you, sweetie." Or I said, "I love you too." Those were the last two words that we ever said to each other. And after that, he began suffering from what we later found out was a heart attack. My mom and my sister ran, my 9-year-old sister, Alex, ran to give him CPR. I actually went to call 911. And I remember fumbling over the phone and not being able to reach it. And then I reached them and ran out to get the neighbors. And after that, as with anyone who's experienced trauma, I truly did black out. And the next thing I know, I was at the hospital and in this beautiful room where my mom came to tell my sister and I that he had passed away. And everything changed from that moment on. I had so much guilt and shame that I didn't do enough to save his life. And I did not like that feeling. I did not want to address that feeling at all. So this is what happened instead. So from ages 11 to 32, I buried all of my messy feelings. And I thought I needed to be so strong because, of course, Ashley, you're an Army colonel's daughter. You are strong. And I was told this my whole life. Now, this is at no fault to my mother or to anyone else. This is just, I believe, how society paints a picture that we need to be strong and wear a mask of strength when we're feeling anything but. So that's what I did. And I buried myself in other things. I was addicted to work. I had destructive relationships. I had a destructive relationship with alcohol in my college career and beyond. I had horrible sleep habits as later in life as a journalist. I had complete lack of boundaries. I wanted to be a people pleaser. I wanted everyone to like me. I would bend over backwards to make sure that everyone loved me. I was almost like a chameleon where I would mold to the personalities of other people so they would like me. It was just this sick habit because I did not want to address who I was, who Ashley was, or who Ashley was feeling. How I was feeling. I was dishonest to myself and others. But I'll say this, and there's probably some people on this meeting today who knew me, that like I looked fine from the outside and I appeared fine from the outside. And like to paint that picture, like in college, I was president of my sorority. I was an editor of the school newspaper. I got a job at CBS News. I was always busy. And it's because I never wanted to sit with myself and my feelings. And that's what we're going to learn today. That's what I'm going to talk about today. But I'm not done. Oh, let me go back. I had another crisis hit me over the head when I was in my early 30s. And, up until then, I had been living like that fast life, that busy life, that people pleasing life, that lack of boundaries. And this was the crisis that stopped me in my tracks. It was like the universe was saying, pay attention to me now. And I had no choice but to do it. I had a mystery illness that had physical symptoms that included brain fog, loss of appetite, body numbness, migraines, panic attacks. I was put in a part-time mental health hospitalization program for my postpartum depression. And also I was eventually diagnosed with Lyme disease. And so it was in my state of complete and utter despair and truly when I felt like I was dying for the first time in my life, did I have no choice but to give myself permission to feel all of those feelings. And it first started with grief for my health. And then it got deeper. The more I opened up the door to feel the feelings, I discovered that I was still grieving for my father. And and that is where the healing and transformation slowly began to happen. And in my book, I teach that, of course, the physical healing needed to happen, but that was only 20% of the healing that needed to happen. The rest, that 80% of the healing, was up to me. It was a spiritual, emotional healing journey that started with me learning how to access my authentic power. And what authentic power means to me is honoring and accessing the wisdom within me. And in turn, and this is the hard part, trusting that wisdom. So for me, it was about getting quiet and still and listening to that voice inside me that's saying, Ashley, you need to be paying attention to these really messy and uncomfortable feelings. You've been burying them for too long and they are meant to be released. I actually had a great Instagram live today with a dear friend who is a renowned psychiatrist. And we were talking about emotions. And he said, it's scientific proof. All emotions need release. So, like, hear that again. All emotions need release. I want you to see emotions and these feelings as an opportunity to learn from them, to love them, to grow from them. So I am going to start with a journaling prompt for you right now. So get your pen out, get a piece of paper out. I also want to say, I recognize that authentic power, everyone might have their own definition of it. I want to say also that giving yourself permission to feel is the subtitle of my book. And that is the secret antidote to transformation and accessing your own authentic power, which again is the wisdom that you have within you. So let's take a moment right now. I want you to ask yourself the question, what does having authentic power mean to me? What does that mean to you to have authentic power? To me, to Ashley Bernardi, it means that I'm honoring and accessing the wisdom that I have within me and trusting that wisdom. But I want you to ask yourself, what does that mean to you? And then next, I want you to ask yourself, what are some small actions that you can take to tap into your own authentic power? I'm going to give you a minute to just look at these questions and write them down. And then I am going to play some music while we take, I would say about 3 minutes here to answer these questions. Oops, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to drop the questions in the chat here while you're journaling. and you're probably going to hear my little dog that I'm babysitting behind me. He's adorable. Here are the questions. And I'm going to go ahead and play some music while you write. Okay, take about 1 more minute to wrap up your thought. You can always come back to it later, and I actually highly encourage that. I also want to say something about journaling while you're writing. When you're a beginning journaler, if you're a beginning journaler, and there was a point where I was always worried, like, what if somebody else reads this? I want you to write for you. You don't have to write sentences. You can write words. You can write bullet points. You can draw pictures. And if you really don't want anyone to read it, hold a ceremony and burn it. I love journaling. I journal every day. So I just want to say, like, give it time. No judgment. Go easy on yourself. There's no right or wrong. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap up what you are writing. Thank you. Everyone is dropping some beautiful shares in here. I'm just going to call a couple out. And I do want us to give an opportunity to share. So as we went through this exercise, please share in the chat what came up for you. Anthony said, first question, what the first question was, what does having authentic power mean to you? He said, being myself. So for Anthony, for you, I'd say, let's dive deeper. What does that look like for you? What does it mean to be yourself? What does that look like? And then the second question was, in what ways can I tap into my own authentic power? Anthony said, not overthinking everything. I love that. What can you do, Anthony, to stop overthinking things? So I would love for you to come up with a direct action of what would that look like? What does that mean to stop overthinking things? And I find that when we get specific with our actions, we're more likely to carry them out. So as your life designer, I'm going to drill down on some of these questions. Melissa said, excuse me, trusting that what comes up for me is what is right for me, instead of second guessing any nudges I get from my subconscious mind. That is a beautiful definition of honoring your own authentic power, Melissa. And that's why for me, I also included trusting that power, because it's often that we get these little nudges or feelings inside, and we do bat them back down because they might be comfortable or messy, or we feel like we're wrong. Um, Trusting yourself is such a big part of healing transformation. Thank you for sharing that. Anthony said to be not being self-critical, getting in tune with my feelings, just feel. Yes. I know you are talking about feeling that it is okay with who I am. Absolutely. And we're going to dive in a little bit more to feeling today. Nikki said, knowing that I was put here for a reason and purpose, and that I will find it if I stopped doubting myself. Yes, I love that. And you know, for you to even have that awareness that you want to take actions to stop doubting yourself. And maybe I wonder for you, Nikki, what does it look like to start trusting yourself? What does that look like? And maybe spend a couple minutes journaling that. Caroline said for 2, pay attention to the way decisions feel in your body. Make decisions that feel good in your body instead of searching for the opinions of others. I can so relate to that. Caroline, thank you for being so open and sharing in that. I think, you know, as a society, we're very conditioned to think about what others think about us, and worry about what others think about us, and worry about others' opinions. And it's about really tuning into that to yourself. And it sounds like you are on your way there, which is so beautiful. Anthony said, overthinking, just be instead of constantly ruminating. Anthony, for you, I wonder, you know, like, what does it look like to just be? Is it meditating? Is it walking in nature? Is it doing some breath work? Is it taking a nap? Is it sleeping? Like, what does it look like to just be? And maybe it's just doing nothing. So I want you to think a little bit further about that too. These are so beautiful. Christina says, I tend to say yes when I really don't want. That is some great awareness right there, Christina. So for you, maybe dig down and get curious. And I think that all of these exercises we're doing today are just really getting curious about yourself. You're saying yes, but you really don't want to. What are you saying yes for? Is it people pleasing? Is it that you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings? And I want you to think of being empowered, knowing that it's okay to say no, right? If you feel like it's a fit for you to protect your health and your boundaries and your well-being. So maybe for you, Christina, maybe ask yourself, what does it look like to protect my boundaries? People pleasing. Yeah, I can so relate to that. I am a recovering people pleaser. And for me, it's been boundaries. So I would say for you, Christina, ask yourself, what does it look like for me to protect my boundaries? What do I need to do to honor my boundaries? And also ask yourself this, what are my boundaries? It wasn't until I got clear on what my boundaries were, even all the way down to how many calls I want to take with clients during a day. So getting clear on your boundaries, Christina, by asking yourself that will be great. Anthony said all of that, not thinking I know what other people think. Yes, people pleasing is my greatest fault. I think that we are all in good company here today. And I would say for anyone who's suffering from people pleasing, get curious, ask yourself, you know, what are my boundaries? And I would also say, like, how can I draw my boundaries with others? I do think people pleasing and boundaries, there is a direct correlation there. And the first thing that's helped me is putting those boundaries in place and knowing that, oh, this is a boundary and I don't need to say yes to this person right now. This was so beautiful, everyone. Thank you for sharing this. I'm really excited to move on to our next exercise. This is called the well-being wheel. And we are going to take a moment to take an inventory on all facets of your life. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And let's see. Okay, here we go. All right. I just also want to say, like, thank you everyone for being just open and honest and vulnerable here. It's so beautiful to be in community with just like-minded individuals. All right, so we are going to talk about the well-being wheel. This is really about bringing your authentic self to all aspects of your life. This is actually a resource from my mentor, Julie Riesler. She is author of the book, Get a PhD in You, and she's also a founder of the Life Designer program, which is the life coaching program that I went through. And I was so moved by this wheel when I went through it myself. I've actually done it a couple times, and I would encourage you to go through it once a month if you like. But very quickly, go ahead and you can do a couple things. You can either draw, like just write passion, presence, play, pleasure, purpose, like on through a list, or you can draw the circle. It's up to you. But I'm just going to give you a moment to do that, and I'm going to talk you through that. So what we're going to do is rate where you are right now in your life for each category. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch out for any judgment and just compassionately let it go. And so we're going to notice where you are in the well-being wheel and where you'd like to be. We're going to just do a little analyzing of your life. So this is a wheel that you can use monthly, quarterly, or as often as you like, as a way to visually check in with how you are designing and mixing your life. And Kayla, I'm happy to share this with you so you can pass it out to all participants after. I love to print this out and go through it a couple times a year. So we're going to start right away. So let's go ahead and start with presence. So you can write down the word presence, or just if you've drawn a wheel, take a look at presence. And I want you to rate yourself right now. 1 is low, 10 is high. Where are you showing up in your life on the well-being wheel with presence? 1 is low, 10 means I'm feeling great about where I'm at with presence right now. So the idea of the wheel is that you can color it in. For me, sometimes if I'm doing the well-being wheel and I don't actually have a wheel, I'll just write the number, like I'm a 7 in this moment. Don't judge yourself, just write the number. If you feel like you want to include it in the chat, by all means, we are going to talk about it too. All right, next, let's move on to play and pleasure. Rate yourself. 1 is low, 10 is high. Where are you at in your life with play and pleasure? Presence in what sense? Melissa, great question. Presence as in like the moment. How good are you at being present? How would you rate yourself at being present in moments and in life? Are you showing up with your full truest self in present moments and situations? Next is purpose. On the well-being wheel, this is again where you are right now in your life for each category. How would you rate yourself with purpose? 1 is low, 10 is high. This is a no judgment zone. Do not judge yourself. If it's a 1, that is okay. If it's a 10, that is okay too. There are no judgments here. All right, let's move on to personal development. Again, we're rating where you are right now in your life for the category of personal development. Watch out for any judgment, just compassionately let it go. 1 is low, 10 is high. And let's move on to your purse and wallet. This was one for me that was low not too long ago. 1 is low and 10 is high. Rate where you are right now for your purse and wallet, purse and or wallet. This is Anthony, that's a great question. It's relation to money, purse, wallet, money. How are you feeling in your life right now about where you're at with money, finances, money management? Okay, let's move on to prayer and spirituality. This could also be religion if you have one. I tend to be spiritual, not so much religious. So let's take a look at your life. Where would you rank yourself right now on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 is low, 10 is high in the category of prayer and spirituality. Okay, we've got our last 2. Let's move on to pay it forward. Take a look at pay it forward. Now, this can mean volunteering, being of service. What does your life look like right now when you think of paying it forward? 1 is low, 10 is high. And last but not least, we have passion. Think about the passion that you have in your life. Maybe you're passionate about a job, or maybe when you think of passion, it could be passion for a loved one, for your kids. Rate where you are right now with passion in your life. 1 is low, 10 is high. All right. So I want everyone to take a look at their well-being wheel, or just take a look at the numbers. And I'd love to hear what came up for you. What did you notice? Drop them in the chat here. What did you score high on? And I'm also curious, what did you give yourself low numbers on? And that is totally fine if they're all below 5, Nikki. I have been there. And we're going to dig into that a little bit deeper today. Today is all about doing that deep work and getting curious about where you're at in your life. So I would also say I'd love to hear, like, what are the ones. Pick one in your life. I would say let's pick 1 or 2 of these categories where you want to give yourself some extra love and attention. Melissa said high on purpose and personal development, but low on play and passion. Interesting. Yes, this is why I love doing these, because I always find that we have aha moments, like, I didn't know that. We're doing this inventory check. Low on paying it forward, sort of low on passion and personal development. Thank you for sharing that, Anthony. So I want everyone to look at this wheel right now, and I want you to pick either 1 or 2 areas of your life where you want to give some extra love and attention to. You can share them in the chat, or you don't have to. Caroline said, I'm excited about how my wheel looks now compared to where it was 6 months ago. I also realize how reluctant I am to give myself a 10 somewhere. Interesting. I would get curious about that for you, Caroline. What's holding you back from that 10? And I would recommend journaling about it. Cindy said low on passion and purpose. Nikki wants to work on purpose and personal development. Okay, this is good. I'd love to see. Feel free. Now we're focused on areas where you want to give some extra love and attention to. Either share them here, and that's okay if you're not going to share them here, because we're going to do another journaling exercise. Also, low on passion and purpose, we'll focus on those. Okay, good. We're going to focus on those. So that's our next exercise. We're going to take a moment to journal here. So I've asked you already, what are 1 to 2 areas that I can give some extra attention to myself, to me, on the well-being wheel? So write that down. What are 1 or 2 areas? And then the next journaling exercise, after you've just decided which area you want to focus on by giving some extra love and attention to, we're going to journal for about 3 minutes. What are some small baby steps that I can take to give this area of my life some extra love and attention? So I'll go ahead and, what if you don't know what baby steps you can take? Oh, that's such a good question. I love that, Nikki. Yeah, sometimes it's so hard to know where to get started. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to just start journaling and writing about where you're at with these parts of your life right now. And I want you to ask yourself, what would I need? What do I need? How do I need to feel to give myself some extra love and attention? How do I want to feel? And if you don't know what baby steps you can take, you can write in your journal, I don't know what baby steps to take. I'm thinking about it. And it's just free write. See what happens. It's going to be very powerful. And I'm going to be curious to see what comes up in the next 3 minutes. Maybe nothing, and that's okay. But we're getting started somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share really quick. And I'm going to drop the questions, excuse me, in the chat. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes to focus on these next 2 questions. And we'll get some nice music going. got one more minute. Starting to see some comments roll in. Melissa, I wonder you, what are some ways I would jot down some ideas and ways to feel right, how you can get reconnected with your husband. What does that look like? What does that reconnection look like? Okay, let's go ahead and you can just finish, wrap up whatever you're writing, and don't worry, you can always come back to it. And like I said, I encourage you to come back to it. So, how did that feel? What came up for you? I'd love to hear any shares. And also knowing that, these are only small moments. So don't expect, big revelations. Don't be hard on yourself. It's all about baby steps. It's all about just getting pen to paper, connecting with yourself. So let's see. Anthony said purpose and presence, what he wants to focus on. And so baby steps are better time management, planning, setting up some quiet time without the phone, the internet, books on audio, okay. Spend some time with hard copy books, more breathing exercises in good and stressful times. Anthony, these are all amazing. I'm going to say something though. That's a lot. So I'm very much like you. I'm like, I'm going to do all the things to heal myself. What I learned is that you got to start small. So maybe on that list that you have, pick one and start there. Pick one that you can do today and start there. Melissa said, not automatically turning on the TV on a Saturday night when my daughter goes to bed, and instead spend that time talking together. I love that. So, Melissa, for you, I wonder if that's something that you can do this coming Saturday, tomorrow, or in an upcoming Saturday. Can you schedule it out and make sure it's on your calendar and remind yourself that you're not going to turn on TV tonight. You are going to spend time talking in bed, which I absolutely love. Nikki said, I think for personal development, I need to put more things into practice than just reading, writing notes on it. As for purpose, I have no idea. I'll say this, Nikki, I'm going to encourage you to continue writing to yourself, just to yourself. And I hear you on reading. I'm like, I love reading self-help, self-development books. I could do it all day long. But that's not going to change me. You have to find out what action items are going to work for you. And this is actually my book, Authentic Power. And I always say this, that, in my book, I share what worked for me, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you necessarily. Everyone's form of healing and transformation is going to look different. So I would encourage you to take some time to get curious about what you actually are feeling. We're going to get to that next first, because that might be some of the blocks. And what it is that you need and what kind of baby steps you need. And like I said, it doesn't need to be writing paragraphs. Maybe it's bullet points. Maybe it's drawing a picture and reflecting and meditating on it. Anthony said, I want to get beyond my anxiety when I should journal. I will start with breathing. Great starting point. And so for you, I would also say, like, what does that breathing look like? Knowing that, when I first started meditating several years ago, I could go through 10 seconds and that was it. So if you're a beginning meditator, don't go from 0 to 60. Don't go from 0 to Deepak Chopra's 1 hour meditation. Wrong thing to do, in my opinion. I would recommend doing a 1-minute meditation on Headspace or on Insight Timer. Start with 1 minute. It's just like running, and I'm a runner. So like when I started running again after my health crisis, I would run for 5 minutes and that was it. Then a couple of weeks later, I would run for 10 minutes and that's it. So when I'm talking about baby steps, it's like it paints the picture for every area of your life, for breath work too. Amazing. Okay, thank you for sharing. So I'm terrified of my emotions. This is already scary, but thank you. I will do my best. Oh, Nikki, I'm really holding space for you right now. I I know what that feels like. It is so hard to feel your emotions, but I can say this, what is worse is not feeling them. And I have learned that when we hold our emotions in, they will manifest themselves in physical ways. Or you might be acting out in some way that doesn't feel like you. That's actually the emotion that you're holding inside. So I just want to just give you so much love and appreciation for sharing that. Um, and also acknowledging how scary it is. Thank you. I mean that really, I mean, I'm very, very moved by that because I feel that. So what does it mean to emote? Spelling. Let me tell you, this is next. We're going to talk about feelings next. So I'm actually going to read an excerpt from my book, Authentic Power, Give Yourself Permission to Feel. And this is all about honoring and accessing our emotions. And then we're going to go through my feeling framework in our last couple of minutes. All right, so here's the F.E.E.L framework. The chapter is called the F.E.E.L framework. By now, you've heard my story of how I spent a huge part of my life either avoiding my emotions or letting them get stuck in my body, which left me physically sick and mentally teetering. In the coming chapters, you'll learn specific techniques I used to get on my path to healing. But if I had to sum up in one word how I healed my mind, body, and spirit, it would be feel. There's an old saying in the work world that you can fake it until you make it. That saying just doesn't work when it comes to emotional well-being. You can't fake your feelings by putting on a tough external demeanor or plastering a big smile on your face. It's not normal to be strong all the time and repress those messy and difficult emotions. If you want to access your true, authentic power, it truly does start with giving yourself permission to feel. Invite those feelings to sit with you for a while, greet them as a friend with some wise knowledge for you, and listen carefully to what they are telling you. When you feel it, you heal it, and that is what will release the true, authentic you. The narrative we often hear from society is that releasing your emotions is a sign of weakness. That is just not true. Emergency room physician Dr. Hope, I had mentioned her in Smashing Dish Therapy from chapter 3, looks at managing her emotional well being as visualizing a table filled with your hopes, your dreams, your family, your loved ones, your hobbies. Everything's on the table. And that table is supported by 4 legs: nourishing food, energizing exercise, restorative sleep, and emotional stress release. I look at those 4 legs and make sure that I'm taking care of all of them, especially releasing the emotions around stress, Dr. Hope says. People like to tell the world they're fine, but then a tension headache comes up, or your jaw is always clenched, or you're nauseated. We can't stop stressful emotions from coming into our life, but we can control how much we release them back out. I came up with a F.E.E.L framework that guides me in dealing with all the emotions I encounter daily, from frustrations at my kids when they get into squabbles with each other, to the stress of launching a new campaign for a client, to my feelings of imposter syndrome. Writing this book was a big one for me, and even unworthiness. And we all experience off days. The other day, I woke up in a crummy mood. I could feel depressive thoughts enter my mind. Instead of pushing them back down, I invited those messy feelings in with open arms. As meditation expert Sarah Blondin describes, entering our emotions helps us become owners of our experience and to not be afraid or fearful to release these emotions. These feelings mean you are human, alive, and everything we experience is passing by if you allow it. Don't resist it, Sarah teaches in her course, This Deepest Self, which is available on one of my favorite meditation apps, Insight Timer. So the next time you're feeling a messy emotion bubble up, don't push it back down. I want you to welcome it and use my F.E.E.L framework to help you move through it. The F.E.E.L framework can be an internal dialogue, a meditation, or a writing practice that you can do practically anywhere. It's about reestablishing a connection with yourself and your soul, and learning to become present in front of these experiences and emotions. It allows you to take a pause and get curious about what you're feeling. It can take you 2 minutes to do or 30 minutes to do. That is up to you. But at the end of the F.E.E.L process, you'll have spent some time tapping into your own authentic power by feeling through your emotions. So here's what it looks like, the F.E.E.L framework. And I'm actually going to go ahead and share my screen to walk you through what the F.E.E.L framework looks like. So here we go. Okay. So first, focus on the feelings. Focus on your feelings and identify what it is you may be feeling. Give it a name. And if you're unsure of how you're feeling, acknowledge that too. So I always say, like, if you can identify that emotion, great. But if you can't, that's also okay too. Get curious about where it's showing up in your body. Is your jaw clenched? Are your shoulders tense? Is your stomach upset? That's what you can be starting by focusing on. Next is enter within the emotion. Just as a hurricane has an eye of a storm, go to the center of that feeling by meditating on it and breathing through it. It's very hard to do, but this is the work that helps with healing and transformation. Next is experience that emotion. Experience the emotion and become the owner of it. This might be uncomfortable, and that is okay. Breathe through it, sit with it, feel with it, cry with it, laugh with it. It's in the same way that we allow ourselves to feel joy and laughter. We laugh, we're happy. We are meant to feel these messy emotions. That can look like anything. Sometimes you're sad and you laugh, and that's okay. It's whatever comes up during this process. Next is learn from that emotion and listen to what it's telling you. There is a reason this emotion is coming up for you, so let it teach you. So I say listen, learn, and love that emotion back. Love that emotion back and thank it for moving through you. If you can be open to positive emotions like love and joy, you can be open to any emotions that you are feeling and see them as an opportunity to listen and learn from them. I love to practice my FEEL framework whenever I'm aware of an unpleasant emotion in my body. So right now, I'd love for us to take those areas of that area of your life that you wanted to focus on. And as I'm talking, just we can move through this journaling exercise together because we only have a couple of minutes left. So look at that area of your life that you want to dedicate some more love and attention to. What feeling comes up when you think of this area of your life? You can share it in the chat or you can just journal it, write it down. Next, I want you to allow yourself to enter within this emotion. And this is the part that in society, we don't do. What does that look like to enter within the emotion? You might want to close your eyes right now and enter within it, or maybe you want to journal. Maybe it's just focusing on that emotion and breathing through it. It can be very, very hard to do. So breathe through that emotion. Become aware of your breath. Nikki, this means that you're giving yourself permission to start feeling this emotion, to enter within that emotion. Next, allow yourself to experience that emotion. So again, this can be the uncomfortable part. As you are experiencing this emotion, whether it's breathing, through a meditation, through writing or journaling, you might notice some physical things happening. Maybe your breath is getting shorter. Maybe you have tears in your eyes. Maybe you want to scream. Maybe you want to throw something. Allow yourself to do this in a safe way. In chapter 3 of my book, I interviewed an ER physician, Dr. Jamie Hope, and she talked about stressing hard and stressing soft. And she said that, you know, as human beings, like we are meant to express ourselves in primal ways. And that can look like punching a pillow if we need to punch a pillow, or screaming out loud. And so I always say, as long as you can get that emotion out in a safe way, and if it needs to be physical without hurting someone and yourself, I think that's great. Experience this emotion. So how can you support yourself in feeling these emotions and feelings? Let them come out. And it's okay if this isn't all going to happen today. I'm just walking you through this process right now. And then finally is listen to that emotion, learn from that emotion, and love that emotion back. So get curious about that emotion and why it might be coming up. What are these feelings teaching me about this aspect of my life? What lesson with this emotion might be here right now? What lesson might be here right now? So after you move through the F.E.E.L framework, and again, it can take 30 seconds, it can take 2 minutes. For me, I love to do this on my yoga mat. Notice how you feel afterwards. You're very likely going to feel the same. What I have found is that in the coming days and weeks, that you feel a little bit lighter and different and have more curiosity and insight on that emotion. And it can open up the doors for more access to inner wisdom from yourself. So that's my F.E.E.L framework. It definitely takes practice. And I will say, depending on what emotions are coming up for you, it can be very, very heavy. And that's okay. I want you to be kind and gentle and compassionate with yourself. Yes, Anthony, you're right. I usually feel lighter and more curious after these emotions. And it allows me to look at uncomfortable feelings in a different way. Like I look at the anger in a different way. I have more compassion for myself and for others. And it's just a process of moving through these messy and uncomfortable emotions in a safe and gentle and loving way. So I would love to hear if anything came up for you. I think I saw a question in here. I'm getting questions different places. Caroline asked a good question. How do you tell the difference between your inner wisdom and your anxiety and fears? Sometimes it's hard to tell. I'm just going to tell you what I've noticed about the difference between my inner wisdom and my anxiety and fear. I have noticed that my anxiety and fears, I notice where it's coming up in my body. Usually I have shorter breath and my shoulders are tense and my stomach is upset. So for me, get curious about where it's showing up for you in your body. My inner wisdom, I am overwhelmed with feelings of peace and calm and clarity. And that is what happened to me after I started moving through my feelings. So I hope that helped answer your question, Caroline. And then Nikki said, I feel like I'm checking in my emotional baggage at the airport where they ask you if you have anything you shouldn't have in your bag. Yes, I think absolutely. And this is the part where it's like, I don't want to go through my emotional baggage. This is way too hard for me. I know how that feels, Nikki. And you have to be gentle with yourself. I wouldn't say you don't need to outpour all of your emotional baggage in the F.E.E.L framework in one day. I am still healing, to be perfectly vulnerable and transparent with you. Healing is a journey and is a process. It is not going to happen overnight for me. If it happens overnight for you, that's amazing. Teach me your ways. Go gentle and easy on yourself, Nikki, and start small. And don't think that you need to just throw all your baggage into the airport and say, I need to deal with this. I would love to, I know we're on time. So I just, first of all, want to acknowledge you all. This has been such an incredible community. I think you all have been so inspiring for sharing and being vulnerable. And I've also learned that the more vulnerable I've gotten in my life and in my healing journey, I have my connections with others and myself has deepened. And I think just by you showing up today, Nikki, Anthony, Caroline, Jennifer, Melissa, Christina, everyone, you showing up today and being vulnerable is just the great work that you need to be doing to take those steps to heal your life and transform your life. So I want to acknowledge each of you for showing up, participating, and being active participants. I just want to close with one more thing before we do a quick breath work before we end. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see how this resonated with you today. You can always email me. My email is ashley@nardimedia.com. You can visit my website, ashleybernardi.com, just to learn more about me and my book. And if you feel inspired, I'd love for you to share it amongst your friends and family members. So thank you everyone so much. We're going to go ahead and close today with a breath work. So I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes. And if it feels right, or if you feel called to, put your hand on your heart, or I will invite you to put your hand anywhere on your body where you feel you need it. Sometimes people need it on their throat, on their shoulders, on their stomach. I'm going to invite you to just place a hand wherever it feels right on your body right now. Inhale 2 counts and exhale 2 counts. And reconnect with that word that you thought of in the beginning of the class. The word that brought you peace and joy. Perhaps reconnect with that color. And let's take one collective breath together. Go ahead and inhale in, hold it at the top, and release that breath. Sigh it out and thank yourself for doing the good work today. Thank you all for being here. It has been such a pleasure. I've loved every moment of it, and I hope that you have too. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Take care.